I want to mention this because I feel like it comes up. I've seen it on message boards. Do you think a regular financial advisor would be equipped to do this?
Probably not if we're dealing with a high asset complex case. You're going to want someone who's used to the family code and having to deal with those kinds of specific calculations for community versus separate property interests. Most financial advisors are not equipped to do that.
Yeah. I wanted that to come from you.
And you didn't even run it past her beforehand. So
I know, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't set you up for that, but just because I see that every once in a while, it's like, oh, my financial advisor said they could do this, and it's like, no, they can't.
They could probably do a preliminary run, but they're not going to be the person that's going to give you what you need at the end of it all, because you're going to want specific numbers and you're going to want specific calculations to be done. And if you go to most accountants and say, can you calculate the community interest in this account? They're going to say, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like they need to know divorce specific types of legal.
It's a little niche.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So separation, date of separation versus legal separation sounds very similar, but what is the difference?
So date of separation we went over just now is that's the date that your community estate ends. A legal separation is akin to a divorce because you're doing all the same paperwork, but now you're legally separated, meaning you're no longer one legal entity financially. You are now divorced in a financial sense, but your marital status remains married.
Why the hell would I want to do that?
So for some people, and this is a very rare circumstance where I would say legal separation makes sense for you, is if you're trying to preserve your marital status for some other reason. So whether that's because someone's a dependent on your health insurance and they need to be married to do that. If you're very religious and don't want a divorce, you want to just be separated from this person in all legal senses, but not divorced, then that would also make sense. But these are very rare circumstances because practically speaking, you're doing all the same paperwork and all the same work as a divorce. You're just checking a different box.
If you're legally separated, obviously you then can't get married again without getting divorced.
Not in California. That's considered bigotry.
Maybe that's a different episode.
Polygamy. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Edit that out.
Maybe some other state, but I don't even know. But anyway, okay. So legal separation, you said it's pretty much similar to divorce. Can we go into more detail about that? Because I think people should know what the alternatives to divorce are, even if it's rare. So
a legal separation means so I'll backtrack. When you get married, you are now one entity under the eyes of the law. So the community estate is for both of you. That's why when we separate it, we say, okay, 50-50, because how else are we going to divide it? You were one thing. You were both working towards the same goals. You were both getting the same credits and advantages of being one legal entity and getting those tax benefits. So now that you're separating and becoming now two financial independent people again, what does that look like? So you're going to have to go through and say, okay, while we were married, all of these things need to be divided. And now that we're going to be two separate entities again, who's getting what? So in terms of legal separation versus divorce, you're going to do all of the same things as far as dividing assets and debts. Going forward, a legal separation preserves your marital status, so you're going to remain married. So say like when you're filing taxes, you would file married filing separately. But in terms of things like getting remarried, you can't do that because you're already married.
Could I get alimony? Can I get child support?
Yes, because you're doing all of the same things as a divorce. You have to address all the same issues that you would in a divorce, but in a legal separation. So when I said like you're going to do all the same things as a divorce, but you're checking a different box, that's basically what you're doing, because instead of you're actually using a lot of the same forms too. You're just saying legal separation versus divorce.